Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for applying. And thank you for the ideas that you have that have started different businesses that you do. So I'm supposed to be taking ideation this morning. We have 8 different modules. Under ideation, there are 2 things we're looking at, starting with what you have and bringing ideas to life. But I know that your businesses are at different stages, they're at different levels. So I would also want to get a sense of who's in the room and what kind of business is in the room. Okay, so let me also give a little background to what I do. I know Dr. Deji has mentioned a little, yes, I do strategy at Investment One, but beyond strategy, so I've worked closely with a venture capital company that used to be a subsidiary of Investment One. I knew closely the kind of issues that businesses faced. I mean, we saw all sorts, we saw all manners, we saw all types of things. Currently, I work on a team that is raising $100 million, for private credit to fund businesses in Africa, so beyond Nigeria also. As you mentioned also, I'm a daughter of this commission, been following closely all the principles, all the precepts that our father has been teaching us, and I know it works. It works in my life. I apply it, and yes, it works. I also lead the finance professional community for Youth Alive, and also financial secretary in my ZFC at a zone in Lekki. So I know many businesses here today may have gotten to a stage whereby, I mean, maybe you've run your businesses for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and you've been doing things a certain way. Maybe you have a model already for your business of how you've been running it, but you're getting the results you're getting. But sometimes just one idea can change something. So I'll give an example, in financial services and what asset management companies usually do. As an asset management company, what you do is you take monies from people, you help them to manage those monies, and they pay you a fee. So if you make a profit at the end of the day, if you make a loss, they pay you your fee, and that's it. So because of that, because the customer knows, oh, if I make a profit or a loss, it's on me. So many times they're usually cautious and careful about taking some decisions that maybe as an investment professional, you're more confident to take. And then one day in a meeting, in an asset management company, and they were asking, what else can we do? What more can we do? I think market was down. This was maybe 2008. There was a stock market crisis in Nigeria. And they meeting wondering, what else can we do? Clients are not willing to invest. Clients are not doing this, they're not doing that. And someone just, so it's just a simple meeting, and someone said, what if we collect these monies from them, and we tell them that we take the risk, and whatever we make, we'll keep it for ourselves, and we'll give them the portion that they are comfortable with. So a customer says, oh, you will guarantee that, oh, I give you 100 naira. Maybe on that 100 naira, you make, 10%. I'm okay with 10%, but if I take it and I know I can make 50%, I'm only going to give you the customer 10%. I carry the risk. If it's profit, if it's loss, I take that risk. And that simple idea, which is more like for an asset management company, it's more like shadow banking. Started in one company, and it's something that many other companies started to do and has become established. So this is something that happened during a crisis. Clients are not investing, maybe revenue is going down, and just thinking outside the box. This is the standard. We know this is what we've been set up to do. This is what we have a license to do. But sometimes the ideas you've been running with, it can be because of markets. It can be because of, a policy. We know inflation. We know there can just be anything. Dollar issues in Nigeria, FX is high. Something that impacts your business that you're now saying, we had COVID not too long ago, and maybe clients are not buying. You need an idea. It starts with an idea. Every business here, as you said, everybody, maybe it was when I was in school, this was happening. Before I then came out of school, and then, I tested it, I started doing it. But you see that it all starts with an idea, Praise God. I'll be free to say it. Praise the Lord. So, we're looking at starting what we have, and I thank God that everybody here has started somewhat. I know someone mentioned that maybe he's still in the idea phase, but I'll imagine that maybe 90% of us have started with what we have. So I won't really hamper on, starting with what we have. What I'll really touch on is just also testing the ideas that we have, instead of just starting with what we have. Since we've started, even with what we have right now. So we're going to look at resource-driven ideation, and we're going to look at different types of resources. So resources are not only cash. It's not only, oh, maybe when I know a lot of people have mentioned funding. Some people mention marketing. Resources can come in different forms. It can come with even just access. It can come with networking, somebody introducing you to another person. It can come in the form of collaboration. These are all resources that can actually transform your businesses and turn them around. We also look at bringing ideas to life. I know many of you have done that already, and then at the end we'll have an exercise and project. So this is, we'll start with looking at some myths, which I think a lot of you would have passed this stage already. So there's the analysis paralysis. Sometimes many people don't start because they are checking, is this my idea good enough? Is it not good enough? But I'll say many of you here, you've passed that phase already. You've started, with whatever that idea is. And the truth is, at the beginning, your idea may not be fully formed. There's no company today. Look at your Apples, your Microsofts. What they were doing many years ago, it's not necessarily what they are doing today. Over time, you need to adapt. Over time, and it's not also, if you have that fear of being stuck in, this is what I saw, this is what I heard, and from the same, from the beginning, so shall it be unto the end. It's not, I'm sure many of you have maybe tech affiliated businesses. You will know that disruption is almost like a daily working. You need to continue to be flexible and adapt as things go on. So don't get stuck in myth of analysis paralysis. Some people will like perfection. I like perfection myself, but reality is that sometimes you have to be nimble and move, as the water moves, as things occur. There's also misalignment. Sometimes you have an idea. It may even be somebody's idea you saw, and you saw, oh, Mark Zuckerberg did this, he started Facebook. I can do it now, why not? Or somebody does something, and you think, I can do it now. So I'll tell you a little story also. I'll give a lot of financial services examples because that is my space. I was at a meeting recently, yesterday, and it was the MD of a bank speaking. He's unapologetic. He's a pastor. He'll tell you, before I'm even MD of this bank, I'm a pastor first of all. And he said something. He started a bank 2022. He conceived the idea in COVID period 2020. That's when God gave him the go ahead to start this bank. He started preparing and all of that. In 2022, he started the bank, and the bank is doing fantastically well today. And he said something that the template for banking is open to everybody. Everybody knows what to do. You can come and say maybe you want to copy him and do it, but you're not going to get the same result with him because the sacrifice he's making, the spiritual principles he's practicing, the things that he's doing, you can't have the same results because you're not doing the same thing. It's open. Everybody knows this is what to do to run this business. This is what to do to sell beans. But the results will never, ever be the same. The results are never the same. So you also need to you can't just copy what a person is doing. One thing business requires is passion. Because especially in a terrain like Nigeria, uncertainty is high. So you need to have a drive that keeps you going. We have the example of Bishop Dalton. He has never needed encouragement because he had it inside of him. You need to be at a place in business where no matter the headwinds, no matter the restraints you may face, your passions must be aligned. It's beyond, oh, I have an idea of doing this and that, but do you have the fuel to keep you going? You must be sure that your passions and also your skills are aligned. For skills being aligned, yes, we're in this era where you can outsource a number of things. But at the end of the day, you have to have interest in those things. There are things you will need to understand. And even if you don't understand, I know there's a part of also getting someone that has that understanding, bringing them on board to also work with you. Another myth that people have in business is high initial costs. And that's one thing. I know, yes, at the end of Eaglesnest, there's what I say, the commitment of $5,000. But truth be told, $5,000 to get to a point is not even enough for your business. Depending on whatever phase that business is in. But that is not something to stop you from continually moving. You've probably heard the word bootstrapping and just going on as if you have an idea, if you have a solution to something, you can start from where you are. And one thing we'll look at in the exercise we'll take is also just starting from that little that you have and testing it. What can you lose? What are you comfortable? What is what they call affordable loss? That if I test this thing, it doesn't work, am I fine with it or is this devastating? Many times people try to, oh, I want to raise funds, I want to raise money to do this and that. And even there's the side of also, oh, if you lose the money, okay, the investor's money is gone, what can we do? But also it's just testing that idea with what you have, testing it little with the people around you to know, does this work? Offering that, there's also the side of offering that solution to people, even for free of charge, to get their feedback, to build on the idea you have and turn it into something. There's a solution looking for a problem. What that is basically saying, sometimes you have the answers already. This is also connected to analysis paralysis. You have the answers already. There's no point trying to look for what is the problem. Just go ahead and do it. Go ahead with the little you have and continue to move. Power of constraints. In an environment like Nigeria, this is very high because people say a lot that there's a lot of resistance. The ease of doing business. Things are better in 2025 compared to what it was many years ago. But one thing also that it does, when there are bottlenecks, there's something we call this the possibility mentality. Just knowing that you can keep moving, you can keep pushing. And Nigerians, thankfully to God, we have that. Nigerians have that, what's that word? Resilience. Nigerians are very resilient. The government tries to pull us one way, we cannot, it's in us, and I thank God for that. So there's that focus, creativity on tangible assets also. Let's focus on the things that we actually can control. There are many, if you look at so many things around your business, there are challenges here and there. But as many challenges as there are parts of your business that can continue to actually move and keep going forward. Okay, so I talked about affordable loss earlier, and that's just saying to just accelerate action, continue moving, no matter what it is. Instead of looking for the perfect, I need to raise, marketing is going to take me 1 million naira. If it's 5,000 you have, whatever you can convert that to for that marketing you need. Is it ads you want to do in the media? Whatever it is, wherever you are. From one customer, it turns to 2 customers, it turns to 10 customers, and it grows like that. But if you don't take that one move for the first one, your business will remain where it is. Next, power of constraint. Also build authenticity from passion and network. So I think I touched on that earlier. So it's just ideas rooted in your genuine skills. It's easier when you are doing a business based on what skill you have. Everybody. So we'll move to assets very soon. But everybody has something. You may not qualify it, because maybe you compare it to what another person has. Another person may have funding, but they don't have skill like you. You have skill, they don't have funding. Another person may have network. Another person may have access. There are so many things everybody has, but there's no single person God has made. There's no single person in this room that will say they don't have an asset that they can actually leverage on for their business. And what this class is going to show us is we'll take an inventory of the different assets we have and how to, wherever your business is, how to play on that and actually move your business forward. Increase visibility, reduce risk. So that's also leveraging on the existing assets that you currently have and making them work for you and your business. So we'll move to the next slide now. Okay, so there are 4 different quadrants we can actually divide our assets into. So I want us all to write at this point. So first quadrant for assets that we have is personal assets. Number 2 will be relational assets. Number 3 is physical and tangible assets. And number 4 will be intangible assets. Now, I know as we've done the introductions earlier, some people have already listed, this is what I need, but you also look at what do you have? Beyond this is what I need for my business to take it to the next level. We're also going to check inwards first before we look for what we can get outwardly. What do I currently have that my business can leverage upon? Now, under personal assets, we look at things like your skills and expertise. Some person I know someone mentioned, I have a degree in mechanical engineering. Some person, it may be agricultural science. I've worked on a farm for 5 years, for 7 years. You have that knowledge, and that knowledge is an asset. Trust me, somebody needs it somewhere. There's somebody that is trying to do something at Greek and just needs someone with that knowledge. They value that knowledge, and they need it. Second is also passion and interest. The burdens that we think are in our hearts, that we think are just normal, they're actually assets. God has given some of us those pain points, if I will call it that. Those That passion that I can't stand this. When I see this, I want to change it. I want to do something about it. Not everybody feels that way, and that is an asset in itself. That, oh, I saw this problem and I wish things can be different. What can I do about it? That passion you have, that interest you have, people are looking for it. People are looking for people who have that passion to actually run certain things for them. So please, you list those passions and interests you think you have as assets also. So traits and temperaments, and I'll give a funny example. So I run some business, and I have people that work with me. But I'm not my temperament as God has given it to me is not the calmest temperament. So at a point, I used to manage customers, and I'll find myself sometimes wanting to snap, or even maybe almost snapping, and I knew this is not good for business. This is not good for business, and that's just also the objectivity of it. There are some temperaments that work in some certain corners, and some that don't. If I don't have the temperament for handling customers. Nigerian customers are of different types. There are people that God has given that grace. That, by the time you see them handle people, maybe HR person, by the time you see them handle people, I'm always so wowed and impressed. And to them, it's just to them, they wake up and go, that's just natural. It's not special to them, but it's an asset, actually. Because God didn't make everybody like that. But some people, naturally, it comes to them. They think if you tell them to list, they will never list to you that, oh, there's something special, but it is an asset. That temperament you have, that trait you have, whatever it's, where your strengths lie. Please list them, they're assets too. Having even time and energy. Thank God most of us, or even all of us, are in our youth. That in itself is an asset, because some people get to a certain age. They may have all the money in the world. For instance, Bill Gates will tell you he's retired. He may have all the money in the world, but he doesn't have your youth. He doesn't have your vibrancy. Investors, they've grown so much, made so much money. They're looking for people to invest in, to put in their own asset of cash into, people that have that vigor, that can still run around, people that can think on their feet, that can get solutions to problems, solve problems. It's an asset. People are looking for it. We'll move to relational assets. This is personal network also. I know many people talk about how, this person doesn't support me, that person doesn't support me. But there are people that have seen your work wherever you are. Everybody is somewhere today. Maybe your school, maybe your classmates, maybe you work somewhere, maybe you've been working with some people. But there are people that have seen your work ethic. There are some people that know, this guy, he's good with this thing. This guy, he was very responsible at this time. He used to be the class rep. Oh, when we used to work together, she was always the first to get to the office. That network and that impression people have of you, that's also like that. We'll get to reputation, but it also forms an asset. How you have carried yourself over time, over the years, what people think about you is also an asset. It's also social capital that would either work for or against you, depending on how you've been. But professional network, so that's also people in your schools knowing you, people around you needing the service that you offer, community ties also. So today we have professional communities in Youth Alive, all the different communities, of people of liked minds. That's also how have you shown up in your community. I know different communities have different events. They have prayers, weekly, book review. You may not know, but people are taking notes. And I'll give a quick example. I had an auntie once. She used to work in a bank. And at the same time working in the bank, in her church, she was a member of the building committee. And just serving normally. People here, one of us here is in Sanctuary Keepers. He went to do his work earlier. Just the way you work in your service units. But you don't know, people watch you and people take it in. It was just from her service unit, they're doing building committee in her church. But someone else on the building committee, his father is Kessington Adebutu. That is who they call Baba Ijebu. And Kessington is one of the shareholders of Wema Bank. And one day, he needed to put someone on the board. His children were probably busy. They had different things. But his son was in this building committee with my auntie. And just from her works in building committee, recommended her. And that's how she became an ED, representing Kessington on the board. And that's just an example of the way you serve in church. People take notes. People watch. It may be, sometimes I know because of different temperaments too, we may not like the way even our leaders may relate with us. But just as we do it, yes, we're serving unto the Lord. Whatsoever we do, even at work, is unto God. but people take note, people watch, and that becomes an asset for us also. So that's community ties. Just from that community of church building, it took her elsewhere. So reputation and credibility, intangible is very closely related to relational also. Unique experiences, that's also an asset. Someone mentioned, he has worked on a farm for so long, he now wants to start his farming thing. That's a unique experience for him. The knowledge, the experience he has had in that situation, he's carrying it elsewhere to start a business. He knows the pain points of farming business, of what they used to experience with the chicks, with this, with that, and he would apply it elsewhere in his business. Access rights also. So this has to do with, this is more techie. So all these things like, I'll say things like permissions to certain data, physical locations, distribution channels that not everybody has, membership to places you have that people, not everybody has. Those are assets also. So now physical and tangible tools and equipment. Someone has said, he's a software developer. Maybe on your phone, maybe on your laptop, you can easily start coding. You can do so much today just with our devices. Those are tools and equipments. People, there's so many. There's a myriad of stories on the internet I've heard of people with that. With just their phone, they started doing this and they started doing that. Tayo here says, he has a camera, he has a laptop, he has a phone, he has built a business out of it. That's a tool and equipment. I think we've gone past the era of, I'm looking for a job, I don't have something to do, except a person doesn't want to apply themselves. But with the devices, smartphones that we all have, and a God-given idea, we can do and undo. So space and materials also. There's this popular, I tried to look for the picture but couldn't find. There's this popular picture of, I think one of the founders of, I don't know if it was Facebook or Amazon, and how he started in his garage or somewhere, and that was all he had. Apple. Yeah, so that was all he had at that time. I mean, just that little, that you have a roof over your head is an asset. That you have that space. Some people start maybe drop shipping businesses. That the fact that they have space, that they can keep something and move some, that is an asset in itself. Not everybody has that. Not everybody has the space to do those sorts of businesses. So that in itself is an asset. Space and materials. Financial capital, as we know popularly, that is an asset. So we'll move to the next slide. So for this, we're looking at and what we're touching on here is resource-driven ideation. We'll look at asset audits, so which is what we have. So please, can we just take a minute, as I don't know if we need the last slide, but to also let's list out the assets we have. Or you can just maybe take a picture of those points because of time. So maybe after the class, I'll go back to it. So if you don't have a picture of that slide, you can just take a picture of the slide, maybe in your break time or during the week. Please just take a picture in your break time during the week. Just list your asset. Just think about it. You may not answer it now, but think about it. What are the skills and expertise that you have? What are your passions and your interests? Because we'll look at everything and look at how can you leverage this for your business. So just have this picture for now, and you think through all these points. 4, we have 7 on this side, 6 on this side. That's 13 points. Just what do you have that you can continue to scale? So after doing that asset audit, another thing we look at is also identifying problems. So I know we've all identified the problems that we want to solve already. So this won't apply too much to us, but in your different spaces, I think it was, to an extent, yes. So maybe in our different spaces. So Tayo does photography. Even within that photography space, what really is the problem of the client? Many times we want to start with the solution we want to provide. But there's also the aspect of what do the clients need? What do the clients actually need? What do they want? And I'll give this story. There's an actress, Reese Witherspoon. She's some American actress. She was in Legally Blonde, And for a very long time, maybe Legally Blonde was early 2000s. And for a very long time, she was off the acting scene. So she's a Hollywood actress. And people wondered, what's Reese Witherspoon up to? Apparently, she opened a book club. So and you wonder, A-list actress, probably won an Oscar, won an Emmy, won gold, everything. And you wonder, why would your acting career that was doing so well, you went and you opened book club. But unbeknownst to people, what her strategy was, in that book club, hundreds of thousands of women signed up to it. Every week or maybe every month, they recommend a book, and everybody in the book club reads the book, and then they have meeting times, they do reviews, they talk about it. What she was doing with that was actually collecting data. So what will happen is that women will read these books, and she will gauge people's reactions to books and the kind of stories that people liked, the kind of plots that, people that got reactions from women, what kind of things interest people. So, this book that we read, people didn't really show up. Maybe after reading one chapter, that was the end. But this one, people went to the end of it. For years, she did that. And what will she do after that? When she sees a book, has caught, when I say caught fire, so to speak, with people's interest, she buys the rights of the movie rights of the book. So the day somebody wants to do a movie for that book, she owns the rights because she has the data and knows that this is what the women are interested in. This is what people like. So that is a thing of, that is the identifying problem approach of, it's not just for me, I'm not just buying movie rights because I like this story. Me personally, this is what I like, this is the type I like, but I'm starting with data. What do the people actually want? What is the people's pain points? Oh yes, this is what I want, this is what, but also from a data approach, I think someone here talked about they've been getting data. I think, was it Samson? They've been collecting data. It's important so that we're not just building in the air and building what we think we like, what our friends like. We also need to know what are the problems of people. It's also part of, the exercises we'll do is to ask people, you can start with your close circle, you can start with your community. We can start with maybe do a Google form, send it to different groups here, or ask people to help you send it out. Get people's feedback. You're creating a product for the public, not for yourself. So you have to actually create this product knowing what people like. We'll see our apps that we use, Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat. They continually update. You'll see them stealing ideas from each other. Instagram will start stories because Snapchat is doing stories. They know people like stories. They put that feature in. From there, they brought their stories into WhatsApp. Not because they created WhatsApp with a purpose. They knew why they did it. But they see this is what the people are liking. This is what the people are doing. They have to continually evolve. Even before, in a WhatsApp group, maybe it was about 120-something, they saw how Telegram had that advantage. They've increased to 1,000 and something. Not because that was their initial original idea, but they see that this is what the people want. So it's also it's also a continuous process. It's not to gather that data. What people want today and the way the world moves with its many distractions. As we know, it's only the Bible that it looks like is constant these days. What people even want today, I'm not sure they will want it next week. So you have to continually collect that data and know that you are in touch with what is happening. That's also a part of strategy you have to continually do. Do environmental scans, do competitive analysis. You must know all your competitors. It's not, I'm redeemed to dominate. Yes, praise God, but you have to look at what is happening around you. And so that you're not also, we know the BlackBerry story, we know how BlackBerry was phased out, we know how Nokia 2 was phased out. You cannot be stuck in your ways because maybe this is how you started. So we'll have to also, by the time you identify problems, and that's something maybe this whole week, I think we'll need to use to do that. Try to identify, yes, what I've said I want to do is farming. What I want to do is a shortlet app. But you need to ask questions also, identify those problems. And then we'll go back to then matching our assets. Those assets that you have as a founder for that business. Because your startup story will be unique. As I said, one person may start something up. Another person, you may have the same idea, but the experience, what will come out of it is all going to be unique because God has made it, our hands are never equal. Our palms are all different. As different as we are, that's how different our assets are. So at the end of it, the business we make, it will be a reflection of us. So it's something personal. You can't copy another person's answer for this. You need to match the assets, that you find around you that you have with the problems that you've identified in the sector or business idea that you've chosen. Next thing there is assessing feasibility. So with this assessing feasibility, what it's actually asking is how strongly and uniquely does the idea utilize your core assets? So that's also just branching out from matching assets to problems. How strongly and uniquely, because at the end of the day, you may find that, yes, indeed, the assets I have, it matches the problem on ground, but how authentic or unique is this to me? Or is it something that's 10 of us, the same assets and problem match? Or do I bring anything special to it? One thing investors look out for, I know, and it's one thing, if you apply maybe BOI, is one core thing in their process is what's your unique selling points? What's your unique selling proposition? Why are you different from the next person? What differentiates you? And it's something that is so key because it also shows, are you in a market where anybody can enter? So, you know, how is your business going to stand out? Why would customer A come to you and not come to the next person? You must always have some uniqueness to your business. What makes your business authentic? You also look at, with your business ideas, also test it to, what's the path to the first customer? Is this an idea that, before we get someone, is it hard to do? I know someone here does electronic talking drum. Is that you? With that sort of innovative concept. So please, that whole process of asset inventory, you know, identifying what the problems are, matching it really sums up the whole, and doing it again every time, because as we said, the world we live in now, there's a lot of disruption. We need to consistently test our ideas. We need to, minimum quarterly, it's even too long, quarterly, minimum, check what's happening in the markets. You know, what are your competitors doing? If you can do it monthly, perfect, all well and good. What do the people want? Continually make it autopilot. Make it autopilot, be able to ask these questions and continually evolve. So divergence, exploring many ideas, filtering and refining, testing, validation, testing against reality. Okay, so these are some 4 main reasons why ideation matters. Sometimes, as I said, as human beings, we may just think, I know what I want to do. Like, what is all this long talk for? I know what I want to do. I've seen the idea through. Maybe I've even started. Like, I know this thing makes money. We don't need to learn ideation. But these are some 4 main reasons why ideation matters. Sometimes they are blind spots. Just like when you're driving, there are sometimes you think, I can see everywhere in my mirror now. But there's what is a blind spot where you can't see, where you need to turn your head to actually see. That exists in business too. We need to generate diverse ideas to uncover hidden opportunities and threats. And there's some of us here would probably have heard of SWOT. So SWOT analysis, where you check your strengths, your weaknesses, you check your opportunities, you check the opportunities and threats also. So SWOT can be divided into 2, internal and external. Your strengths and weaknesses, those are internal. You know, those are for you, checking yourself, checking your assets also. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? There's also opportunities and threats, which are external. So opportunities is, just as we've talked about, as you ask those questions to see what's happening around me, what can I do, what do I need to do differently. Threats are also, what are the things that, you know, what are the things that, look, I don't want to use the word threat, but what are the things that make your business, that make you keep your business on its toes? You know, it can be threat of new entrants. If this is a business that anybody can just enter, it's an overcrowded market space, you continually need to check that something makes you to stand out. So reduce blind spots, and that happens when you continue to ask questions to uncover hidden opportunities and threats. And optimizing resources also. There's also the challenge of sometimes we have so many assets and we don't sweat them. You know, we have this thing that, this asset of ours, it could be even your temperament that you have as that asset, but you haven't applied it to the point where your temperament is actually, you're turning your temperament into income because of how you're applying it. So that is not optimizing that resource. It's, you know, there's a common term of saying to sweat your equity, sweat your assets. That asset that you have, don't just let it be latent, don't just let it be there, but actually use it to work. Focusing limited capital on high potential concepts. Well, this also has to do with affordable loss. You know, there's this big dream you have, this big story that you keep trying to pump money into. When there are little steps you can just be pumping into to get to that point and test the whole process through. Another reason ideation matters is building adaptability. So still similar to getting continuous feedback. Continuous ideation helps you pivot when market shifts. And we can overflog it that we are in a disruptive world today. There's no point living in the past. You always have to test. You always have to test. That is how you can't sleep. Sorry that you may be tired, but you can't sleep if you will have a vibrant business, if you will have the business that God wants you to have. Look at our Father. like, as a metaphor, I'll say he doesn't sleep. Like, he does, you would think that, oh, after all these years where he has, in quotes, by the grace of God, reigned in ministry, how does he continue to reign, in quotes? How does he continue to keep that position that even those coming after him still look up to him? It's not a case where they're looking like, Father has stopped growing. Father keeps growing. And it's just the way we have to be with our businesses. There's no rest if you would do it excellently. You have to continuously ideate. So lastly, why ideation matters is to boost our creativity. And this helps our businesses. We'll see it in all our social media apps. The examples I gave earlier, they continue to evolve. Cognitive diversity, neuroplasticity. Please forget all that grammar there. What is just saying? It boosts your creativity. As you see challenges, as we said, that Nigerian resilient spirit, positive and possibility mentality, no matter the challenge you find, regulators, they will give you one regulation here or there, one policy, oh, the CAC is doing this, doing that. It will boost your creativity of how do I solve this problem? How do I navigate this? Oh, this platform where we used to advertise before, they've brought up one rule. It shouldn't make you now pack up and stop and say, because we can't do it anymore, that's the end. No, it should boost your, ideation will boost your creativity such that you will find a solution. How do I move forward from here? So these are different sources of ideas that they've been categorized into 4. So pain points, that can also be said as your passion or your interest. What is that thing that is a burden to you? We've said earlier, it's an asset. That thing that is a burden to you is not a burden to everybody else. So that is one unique feature that you have. So identifying daily frustration. What are those things that, I know there was Samson's story that said, he wanted to solve a problem. He was trying to get a shortlet. It took him 2 hours. Why does it have to be 2 hours? And you wonder, this is the solution God gives you. You see through, this is just do this, do that, and that problem gets solved. Turn problems opportunities. Okay, so Uber so similar to even his example, that's it there. Uber for peak hour rides, his tech solution for shortlet fines. Another source of ideas is tech shifts. So as we said, so many disruptions happening nowadays. People need to keep up. And so we're the ones that I'll say will help them to do that keeping up. Also market gaps, things that we know that no one is currently doing this today. You find yourself in a position whereby there's this need. Why is it taking 100 steps to do something when it can be done in 40 steps, when it can be done in 20 steps? That's a gap that we can come in to say we want to fill. And as much as we already have our ideas set, as much as we already know this is my own business, this is what I want to do, I want us to also still think. And this 1 week, please, I want us to use this 1 week to do that. So even the exercise we did, that asset listing matching, let's take this 1 week to do it. Reflect, take time out, because it's so important, it's so necessary. We need to sometimes take time out and just do the work of strategy. As founders, maybe at this level, you get yourself involved in so many things, but you must always find a way to carve out time to actually think about the business. Think of what the business can be. It may not be a thing that can be done today. You can write it down, have a book dedicated to your business, to know that these are the dreams God is giving me for this business. Just write them down, and say, make it plain. Whoever will see it will run with it. Write it down for now. You may not have the time, the energy to pursue many of those things today, but as the ideas flow, just write them. One day, everything, the dots will connect, and you will find and build that business that you're aiming for. Another thing is analogous inspiration. You can also borrow ideas. There's no new thing under the sun. The Bible tells us that. It may not be a copy and paste idea, but even some idea you may see in one sector, an idea I see in farming, maybe I can even apply it to, something different, real estate. An idea that I see in software development. Oh, I can actually apply it to this other place. We can always borrow ideas from different parts, to implement in our own business. So these are just ideation techniques and methods, brainstorming. Sometimes you can also get people. So this helps. Being in this room is also an advantage. Yes, we've come for Eaglesnest, your mind may be on the goal and target of 5,000, but the network of yourselves, people of like minds, is actually an asset for us here. I remember there was something similar. There was a class I took one time, and it was a class for business people. And one asset till today that I have from that class was a friend I made. Like, we both run 2 different businesses, but one thing is we always bounce ideas of each other, and she has been such an asset to me. So that's one thing we have with each other here. So you may not just even think of ideas, sit down and do those ideas by yourself, but you can pick, it doesn't have to be everybody. Pick 1 or 2 people that you think, oh, maybe we think alike, or maybe we would think differently. I like that this person brings a different perspective to what I'm doing. You can talk them through your business. Oh, they can give you ideas. Why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way? Give you different ideas to test. That's also an asset we have just by being in this room together. We actually have ourselves to brainstorm with. So there's also design thinking, empathize, define, idea, prototype, human-centered insights, driving innovative solutions. There's AI-driven ideation. We could use, thank God for AI today. I know different people have different perspectives about it, but the truth of the matter is it's going to make our lives better. It said, oh, AI will take away a lot of jobs, this and that, but it's for us to leverage these tools that have been made. God gave the men that created these tools, God gave them the wisdom, and they've created it. It's for us to then now take advantage of these tools to actually make our lives, make our businesses better. So you can scale them on a scale of 1 to 5 is what this is. So on a scale of 1 to 5, so for instance, this was a simple example. A lady who, let's imagine she had just come out of school. She has learned some graphic design work, and she's thinking of what can she do. So this is a very simple example compared to maybe the kind of businesses we have here. And she thinks to herself, oh, I want to start doing social media management for coffee shops around the area, for different cafes around the area. So that's one business example. Now you can use your business as the example. The first question she's asking herself is asset leverage. Do I have the assets required to make this a success? And so what are the assets required for that business? So these cafe social packs will just be a summary of what your business is. Now, what are the assets required for your business to be a success? On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you score yourself on having those assets? So what do you need? So you also need to list, first of all, the assets you have, and then assets that your businesses require. So yes, so one of the questions I asked earlier is, what does your business need to get to the point that you want it to get to? It's different from what you currently have. The assets you have are different from the assets you need. So what that asset leverage looks at is the assets that I need to make the business a success. On a scale of 1 to 5, would I say I have all that I need? 5 over 5. I'm ready to go. That's scoring there. The next one is path to first customer. So this is just viability of your business. I've created this business idea now. How feasible is it? How feasible is my business? Can I actually sell? Or is this only good on paper? So for her, she scored 5 because she was in a community whereby, let me imagine, within her locality, there were up to 5 coffee shops around. She could easily go meet any of them and sell the idea. None of them were doing well with social media. Maybe someone just has their daughter handling something. There is something that the businesses actually needed, and she could sell it to them and actually onboard customers. So that was part to first customer. Her first customer, maybe she doesn't need to maybe dress up in a suit and tie, walk into an office, knock on a door, be wondering maybe she needs to build a pitch deck. For her to build this pitch deck, she needs to outsource it to someone. The part was easier and clearer for her, is why she scored 5 there. Also, affordable capital loss. What can she need funding for? What would she need money to do? Let me imagine she needs money to pay for some subscriptions online for what she needs to do. Is it money that if she loses, she has lost in business, so that business sunk my money? So yes or no. Also, passion is something she was fairly passionate about, and she scored 4. For the other one was her creating, so still for the coffee shops around, create some AI menu tool that the coffee shops can use for when customers come in to pick their menu, build a menu and things like that. She didn't have the skill set to do it by herself. It's something that if she was going to do, not that it's impossible, but she'll still need to outsource. It's going to be dependent on other people, dependent on additional funding. So she scored low in it. Also, part of first customer, is this something that even coffee shops around, is this something that they will pay for? Is this something that they need? Yes, it's there. Yes, to make their lives better, but you also need to check the people you are offering it to. Would they rather the way I'm doing it is good enough for me? I don't need to pay for this. So that was that. Affordable capital loss. If she invests that money, if she goes to outsource, get someone to build an app, a tool, and God forbid it doesn't work out, it is a big loss for her, and also passion for it. So that was how that came about there. So MTP is your minimum testable proposition. So this is also close to your affordable capital loss. So minimum testable proposition, to say this is the business idea I have and how easily can I test this. So this is the idea I have. So I gave the example earlier of your community, the people around you, and I talked about maybe a business I had to do, and my one customer for 1 year, I tested that idea with that one person. So that was easy for me to do, to start circle of influence around me, to say I can use these people, take their feedback, learn how to do this better, build processes in the businesses, and just walk around with that. So you just define what's the minimum you can start with to actually start to test and then validate the idea. So, I would say, so from all we've discussed today, does anyone, how do we think about our businesses? What do we think? Like, are there changes we think, maybe I should actually go back and do some more thinking about this business? Or do we think, my business idea is stellar, this one is is perfect, it doesn't need working? Or do we think, okay, maybe I need to think about this somewhere here and there, maybe I need to ask questions? From all we've said, do we think there's any additional work that we want to do on our businesses?
Okay, so I was saying that it's inevitable, basically, because the world is changing. Everybody here deals with people. It's like we're all offering services or products, right? And the people that we are, or the businesses are interfacing with people first, right? So if you're not moving with the trend, if you're not picking people's brains randomly to know, okay, if you were in this position, what would you have done? As in, just randomly, like you said, sending out Google Forms to take out polls and all those things. You can actually do that individually, right? Just talking to people, you can actually pick people's brains, find out what is going on in people's minds, find out how they think, right? And because if we claim that, okay, we are running businesses and we are waiting for a particular big break before we can now think what we should do, and I think it's already late. Because it's if you are waiting for that time, then there will have been big holes for you to fill.
I want you to share more light on the competitors, right? Because a lot of people always see competitors as people you just have to try to outshine, or they are a threat to you. But with research, I also realized that sometimes the competitors are very important. So I don't know how you can, they are important too, because if you're in a space and you don't have competitors, then probably that space is a dead space. And so I would love if you can share more light on the whole area of competitors.
So for competitors, so as much as we've talked collaboration, business is business. Business, yes, we collaborate to some extent, but you see, even though upon still, but still, let's know, this business is serious work. There's the aspect people say, moving now from competitors to collaboration is where the world is going to. There's maybe there are instances for that, but when it comes to competitors, you always have to fight to stay ahead. We're not playing games. We're not playing here. You must take sight of the fact that you want to be number one in your space. And every space is also such that I believe spaces should be niche, because, God calls you to do something. It's just how we have different spiritual leaders today, but God has a calling for many. Bishop's calling, for instance, is faith, and he stays in his lane. I mean, there are people whose ministries are centered on maybe marriages, relationship counseling. That's their lane. I mean, if Papa will preach a message on marriage today, he's going to preach the faith aspect to you. He will preach Psalm 66, he will preach the word by the word. You won't hear him giving an example of, oh, dress well. But you won't hear him giving those, his faith. This is what God sent him to preach. That's what he's preaching. So there's also the place of, I have my niche and I want to dominate in it. Now I have my niche. Let me give what business do you do?
I have a prop tech startup.
Prop tech.
Yes.
So that's property, right? So even in your prop tech, Samson who does, you want to build an app to find shortlets. There can be collaboration there because it's not particularly the same niche. But when we're doing the same things, for instance, I mean, it's more competition. So that it should be clear and to know. And what you also check is, what are your competitors doing? Because they too get ideas. As much as God leads all of us, I mean, we're all children of God. God gives each and every one ideas. You also need to stay abreast of it. And there was the example earlier of how BlackBerry got phased out. How how smartphones came, the iTouches, iPhones, the Androids. It stayed what it was. Same thing with Nokia. You also, if you're checking your competitor, you will see that things are changing. People are no longer preferring my iPhone. You will see my sales are going down. What are people buying into? You have to continually check it. At that rate or at that level, Apple is not going to come and collaborate with BlackBerry. So Apple too should better know that this is my competition. I mean, Apple can collaborate with Beats by Dre. We're doing headphones. We're not the same thing. Maybe they support each other one way or the other. Then we can be talking collaboration. But let it be clear of, I want to be number one in my space. Have that business mind at the back of your mind. Yes, Christians, we're doing it with faith. No dirty practices in business. But you must dominate your space. You must be number one. There are also that competition that is above you. And I was talking with someone recently, and the example of, I remember when GT Bank started. At the time when GT Bank started, there's some 5 top banks in maybe the country. First Bank, you call First Bank, UBA, Union, I don't know, but some top 5, and GT was just starting. When GT is doing strategy session, they're probably looking at those businesses as, oh, your goal is I want to be like First Bank. That is what GT is saying in the strategy session. But today, GT has left all of them behind. They're not in the same class anymore. So at that level, yes, even with your competition, you must be looking at what are they doing. At the level where I'm starting today, I have competition, maybe I'm looking at above me, checking what are these people doing, how are they doing it, what are they doing, and continue climbing to the point where you are now dominating and number one. That should be our goal in all our businesses. So we're moving on to evaluating and selecting ideas. So I know we've already selected our business ideas. Everyone already, has applied with a business to say, this is what I'm doing. But another thing we need to check is, so feasibility, desirability, viability. And we've touched on the first two, before now. So feasibility is, can you build this business? So I think everyone also has an idea of what it would take for their businesses to succeed, because I know at least one side has answered the question of, where do I want my business to get to, and what does the business need to get there? So at least you have a sense. And as the boot camp goes on, your eyes will also open to other areas to check, do I have this for this business to really succeed? Second is desirability. Do users want it? So am I creating this product for myself, or are there people, is this a real need? Have I actually tested the market, or just because maybe this is something I want, one or two people around me need this, and then I think I'm going ahead to build a product or business around this idea. Then third is viability. And I think when we take down the line, I think next week when we take the class on finance, you would actually start to work numbers to see, is this business profitable, in the long run? Can it scale? Or do I need to continually, for it to move from level 1 to level 2, I have to actually take my energy from level 1 to level 2 into it? Or can I still, with my level 1 energy, continue to now build this business? That's what scalability looks at. Also, so ICE is basically, as it's there on the board, impact, confidence, and ease. So you have to look at what's the potential market change or impact of your idea. Is it just maybe another business? I know there are so many trading ideas today. So I mentioned drop shipping earlier. It's just a buy and sell. There's not a lot of innovation going on there. You also have to look at what impact is this business idea having. Secondly, is confidence. You know, what's your belief? And that's faith also. You can call it faith. You can change that C to F for faith or something. How much faith do you have in that business? Go to God in prayer. I mean, you still get to spirituality in business aspect. Go to God in prayer. Know that this is what you want to do. Put your mind in it. You have God. It will succeed. You know, you also need your faith to be up and have that confidence. And the last thing is also E. Implementation simplicity. You don't need a complex idea. It doesn't need to be there. So that's also the analysis paralysis. You don't need, yes, do research, yes, ask questions, but it doesn't need to be some gargantuan, something. It's just simplicity. Let it be simple. As you move on working little by little, you find that that business keeps growing from 1 to 2 to 5 to 10, and the business will keep moving forward.